So are you a band or solo musician looking to enhance your performance? Could this be the solution? This is a question that I asked myself, and I want to share my answer with you. I've been working in electronic music for a long time. Many of my viewers know this, and I work hard to make my live performances relatable to audiences who may not be familiar with the genre. But it also extends to visuals, especially lighting and video. I've been working with DMX since 2008, and it can be quite complex to work with it, with all the channels that go into a light, how the lighting boards work. Well, the Wolfmix is being promoted as a lighting board for DJs, so I wondered, well, would this work for my purposes? So I went ahead and purchased one with my own money. Now, these opinions I'm going to share with you are my own, and nobody's sponsoring this video. Now, I do have affiliate links down in the bottom, and if you choose to purchase this item or any of the other items I have listed down there, a small commission may come to the channel to help the channel out. And so, without further ado, let's get into this. This is my review of the ADJ Wolfmix WMX1 standalone DMX lighting controller. It's called standalone because it doesn't need a computer. In this video, I'm going to give a rundown of the unit. I'm going to explain its various features, and I'm going to talk about the add-ons you can get for it, and I'm also going to talk about the advantages it gives to bands and solo performers. It's probably best understood as one of the most feature-packed and easy-to-use DJ controllers at its particular price point. And it's especially useful for people who are not very DMX-oriented, not lighting designers, maybe not experienced DJs. If you look at it, the surface of it really looks a lot like a push controller for Ableton, or if you've seen, like, say, a Launchpad or the Circuit Tracks. It's got that same kind of a user-friendly layout with these kind of performance pads you can call up and we call presets on, and these knobs up here to control when you're over in this mode. You can control dimming and things like that. I can show you here. So you can make the lights brighter or dimmer. These are the moving heads there. They're shooting out and then kind of going away. You can do the same thing with the backlights there, bring them down. And my little center console there, bring that out. And then even over here, and I can bring out, that's pretty much all the lights. And then I can just go back to my preset here and recall the scene, and they're all back in. And certainly one of the big features in this thing is its big display right here. It's got a 4.3-inch LCD touch-sensitive display. So, for example, I can turn on color effects on certain lights just like that. I can, if I'm over in Live Edit, just pull up Live Edits or something like that. I'll explain what Live Edits are here in a moment. And various other things we can do that we can just call up on the screen. So the screen is touch sensitive and responsive. And another great thing about it too is its built-in effects. So we have color effects, move effects, and beam effects all in this unit. And you can enable these effects without a lot of knowledge about how to do this kind of stuff because they're just kind of built in. There's not a lot of fancy programming required on your part. And it's got these knobs that are really easy to use. And you can just, in real time, start putting things together, test, and see what works for you. So let's talk about how to profile lights, how to add lights to this unit. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is go to this little light head right here. And you can see all the lights that I have added right here. And then if I go over here to this button with this little plus, with this little lighting head, I can add more lights. And it has all these profiles set up in here. So you can go to like Eurolight if you do those kind of things. You know, here in America, we have like ADJ up here. If we go over to ADJ right there, and you just got a ton of ADJ lights right there. And then going down to Chauvet, you have a ton of Chauvet lights right there. So lots of different lights that you can just add. You just say, like, you know, I wanted to add a Color Splash Junior, which I used to have 4 of these things. So I can say, yeah, I got 4 of these things and I want to add them. And I can add them to a group. So I was using for backlighting. So this is my back pars right here. And then it looks for open DMX addresses right there, found them, and says add them. But I'm not going to. So just to show you how easy that is to add lights if you need to. Now what you can do here is you can add the lights to various groups. So you have 8 groups from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And you can assign similar lights to various groups. So my moving heads are assigned to group A, and these are you know, moving heads are lights that kind of move around if you're not familiar with, like, you know, you've seen them a lot in shows and stuff like that. And then I can add my back pars. These are color lights. These are all right here on channel B. My little center unit here that you can see in the picture, you can see behind me. See if I get my hand back here. It's right here. This is the center unit, and you can also see it on the screen in the visualizer. That's right here on group C, center pars. And these front pars, which you can't see at the moment, these front pars are like right in front of me right here, and I got 4 of them here and 4 of them there, and they're shining down on me as a performer, whoever's on the stage. And then over here, I finally have on E my mega bars, my ADJ mega bars, and those are going to be, so these are over here in E mega bars, and they're going to be right behind me. They're kind of behind the piano there on the ground, and over here on the screen you see them up along the side. And I'll talk about why that is in a moment. Okay, so now that we understand where the lights are and how we kind of get them in, what we can do now is go down here to start creating scenes, just like, you know, how the colors and the intensities, or that's the brightness of the lights for various parts of your show, really. So I'll go ahead and show you some of my scenes here. I go over to my preset list, and I've got this one, which is just kind of blue, and I'll go ahead and turn off my video lighting here so you can see more of just what it looks like in the room. And so this is just the backlights and the center light on there, and this is kind of like pre-show or in between songs or something like that. And then I can bring up the front pars. There's a little bit of activity in the lights back there, and that looks good. And then this kind of brings in more of a magenta light and also turns on. You just saw the derbies come on behind me. They're kind of like up in the ceiling there, and they're kind of moving around, and it's kind of a mellow scene. And this nice little scene right here I call Fire and Ice, which, by the way, you can name the scenes on the unit. And that turns everything kind of orange, and it kind of gets like this flaming kind of appeal. And then there's like this block of ice at my performing station right there in the middle. So you can see you can create these various presets, and they're not that difficult to create. So let's go back to the static scene here, and I'm going to go ahead and start creating something new. So I'll take this and I'll go to color, and let's just say we want to go really weird. We're going to turn everything green. So I'm going to go to line here, and I'll turn the back pars line, or sorry, the mega bars line. You just saw them go green back there. Then I'll come over here to group A. I'll turn my moving heads line, and then I'll turn my, actually I like the magenta there of the center, so I'm gonna leave that magenta there. I also like the magenta of the center, the center performance area, and I like the magenta of my back pars. So I'll leave those as magenta. And then, because they weren't up to begin with, I'm gonna bring up my moving heads. There we go, so those are green. So you can see that that kind of came up here, both in the room and in the visualizer. And that could be just a static scene right there. And so I'll go over to presets, and all I have to do is hit Shift and a button, and I'll hit this button right here on the Wolfmix. And it says, do you want to store it? I'll just call it preset 16 for now. I can name it a different name if I want to. And I'm going to hit one more time. And then it asks me, like, okay, do you want to fade? Yeah, I'll give it a 3-second fade. So that'll, when I change scenes, it's going to slowly fade from one to the other. And that'll look good. And for color, that's going to be the color of this pad right here. And if I just go all the way to the right, like, you know, clockwise, it says auto, and it's going to show the colors that are involved with the scene. So I'll hit the pad one more time. And now I've just created a scene and stored there. You can see the pad is glowing from magenta or purple to green. Okay, so it's that easy and that quick to set up a preset. Now let's say I wanted to get some of these lights moving, like let's put a beam effect on my moving heads. And the moving heads are really going to give you the most in terms of effects. In fact, let's just show you what you can do with the moving heads. So with all the lights you can do color, but with moving heads you also get position. So right now they're kind of in what are called the center position. I'll tell them to go to the floor. So the back pars will go to the floor, and the front pars kind of go to the ceiling. Sorry, the back pars. The back moving heads go to the floor, and the front moving heads go to the ceiling. And or I can position them, you know, this kind of like in this center position. I can also get them to kind of cross a little bit here. I can get them to kind of go like out towards the audience, and then again cross again from that position. And then I actually get 8 more, and I've only programmed 1 more, which I call down and out, and it's kind of like where they kind of go, kind of like down with the back moving heads kind of aimed down, and then they kind of spread out a little bit, kind of going to the sides. So, and these things are really easy to program. Also, I can change the gobos, which is, you know, the shapes that these lights go through. So right now I have the open gobo, which is just kind of like the straight beam. But here we get these various little gobo combinations that can be pulled up. And let me see if we can see that. Tell you what, I'll bring it back to the down position. And if I put it in the floor position, there we go. You can see them go down to the floor back there. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the gobos. You'll see it change on the floor right here. You can see how I changed the gobo. It's kind of reflecting off this bench I left back there. And maybe if I bring it out one more time. So there you go. So there you can see that you can change the gobo. So I'll go back to the open gobo because I think that'll be the most useful right now. There we go. If I go over here to the color effects, we can actually change the colors. Now this is where the moving heads are not so great because the moving heads have these color wheels. So if I make the moving heads go color active, let's say, and I can do that by enabling this button right here below where the moving heads are. There's channel A up there. And you can see that like it's kind of weird. You can see the gobo wheel shifting around. It's not as smooth. So I'll show you what it looks like on the pars back there. And you can see that they start changing a nice color. And if I go over here to the megabars beneath the piano, they'll do the same and they'll change with the pars. And I can even add it to the center unit right here. And you can see it changing colors. Okay, but let's say I want to do something else with that center thing. I don't want it to change color, but I would like to kind of glow on and off. And that's where we get the beam effect, because this kind of turns the lights on or off or changes their intensity. So with the beam effect, make it for the center par. And there you can see it just kind of little sine wave just goes up and down, or I can choose a little sparkle effect here. And it's not so easy to see on that one. In fact, the sparkle effect, to be honest, is going to be more apparent if I go to the megabars. In fact, I'll take off the color effect on the megabars. You can see a little bit more of it. And you can see even more evident. It's a very slow effect right now, I think. If we go back to the beam effect, yeah, it's a slow effect. Let's speed that up. There you go. Now you can see it really take off. And I'll add it back. So I'll go back here and put it on the center one. You can see it just kind of flashing erratically. I'll add to it the color effect as well. I'll speed that up. And everything's going a little bit wild. Okay, great. But I don't want that anymore. And it's really easy to control it from the home panel here. So I just go boom, boom, boom. And one more time, move over, boom, and they're all off. So those are the kind of like the effects, the color effects, the move effects, and the beam effects. And it's really easy to program that. I used to do, it took me a long time to work through various programs to get these lights to do what I wanted them to do. And this one's pretty easy. Yeah, of course, it's a little bit limited. You don't get as much control as you would with, say, software or a more advanced board. But I think the trade-off is perfectly fine by me. You have 3 ways to control the timing on your effects. Your effects can be controlled, and I'll show you here. If I go over to color effects, you can see right here in the window, it could be speed. So this is just, you know, cycles per second, just a free time kind of a thing. Or you can do it on a beat basis, or you can do it with a mic input to kind of like drive the change of the beat. So for this mic input, you have 2 different ways of driving. There's a built-in mic, or you can do a direct line in. And then of course for the beat, it can detect it from the mic or the line in, or again, you can use Ableton Link, which is going to be a more solid way to control it, a more stable way to control it. So right now I have it hooked up to a series of lights, which includes a gig bar move. And what was pretty cool is when I added it in as a profile, it said, hey, do you want to add this as one light, or do you want to add this as several lights? Because the gig bar move has 2 derbies, 2 moving heads, 2 pars, a line of strobe lights, and a red-green laser. So I said, yeah, sure, add it as separate lights. Now, the pars, it understands pretty well. The moving heads, it understands pretty well. But the derbies, the laser, and the strobes are more of a special case. And so that's where this live edit button right here comes in. So when I hit live edit, this gives me access to certain special functions. So I'll go back here and show you. If I hit this live edit button right here, it's going to enable the derbies. Now it's not represented in the visualizer. That's because the derbies and the visualizer just, they got so many beams, they move independently, and they don't profile well. So you're not going to find that in a lot of visualizers. I haven't seen it yet. But in fact, if you look at the lights right now, they just look like they're kind of bright and lit. But if you look up at the ceiling, you can see the beams that they're projecting out. I'll go ahead and kill that, and then bring in, so here, down here at the bottom, I can bring in the red laser. And again, you won't see it on the visualizer, but you can see it up in the room itself. See that cluster of red dots up at the top of the ceiling? I'll bring it over here so you can see that. There's the red laser, off, on. And then I can go to a green laser. And so you can get all these green dots going everywhere. Over on this side, we get some pretty wild buttons. So if you're in the middle of a show, like one of the first things you can do is just blackout, right? Pretty easy, blacks out. There we go. Although, the warning with blackout is if you do have a live edit on, say like this, if I have these derbies on right here, and I hit blackout, the lights black out, but not the derbies. So you have to make sure that your live edits are disabled before you hit blackout to get a true blackout. The other thing is, let me see here, we have the blackout, and then speed. So let's get a preset going here with some effects. And so now you can see the motion of the lights, the fire, and we'll even get these moving heads moving. Let's see if we can get that, some motion going there. There we go. So now get the moving heads moving too. And if I hit speed, you'll see them kind of just ramp up a bit. And if you look here, we can actually control how much speed we want to add. And that's with using these buttons here, 2 point, so freeze, 0.5, 2 times, 4 times, 8 times. So you can actually go slower with the 0.5. That's pretty cool. Blinder. Well, that's just going to turn on everything, so watch out. We're going to blind the cameras here. Oof, oof, oof. And my eyes. Oi. So, okay, so that's blinder, but that's a crowd thriller. And the other thing is strobe. So you can see all the lights just kind of strobing back here. And that's kind of fun and adds some excitement. And then this ADJ button right here is just, it's insane. You hit it, and everything just goes nuts. So it's pretty fun. And it's so if you're doing this live and you have somebody who's acting as a lighting director and just kind of playing along with the band or something like that, there's a lot of fun. The unfortunate thing is this is not automatable, like with the automatable functions through WLink. And then smoke allows you to control an external fogger, haze machine, smoke machine. And it's really cool because you can set it to various levels of intensity of what's coming out and the speed of the fan. And I found with my own unit, that's been great because if I need a lot of haze, I can get it like just kind of spewing out at first to prime the room. And then once it's at a good level, I can go back to a minimal amount just to kind of maintain the effects so we can reveal the beams. And I can turn it on or off, and this is great. It's probably the friendliest controller I've ever had for that. So that was just a short demo, kind of a brief display of what you can do with the Wolfmix and how easy it is to use. Some other features that you have with it are the ability to control it with another Wolfmix. It's this feature called WLink. And you can just use another Wolfmix and use the two of them in tandem, one with like maybe controllers A through D, and the other one with E through H, or divide up the duties in whatever you way, one with the home screen, one with the preset screen, whatever you want to do. But that's an extra cost. That's like a $49 buy-in, which I actually did buy in. Not only can you control it with another Wolfmix, but you can control it with another like DMX fader board, or even some kind of computer software that just runs out through a USB to DMX controller. That software that you use to control it can then be controlled via MIDI from Ableton. So you can actually use little clips in Live to control your lights. And now you can synchronize your light show with a set that you create inside of Ableton, which is something that I'm working on. It comes with one DMX universe, which allows 512 channels. It may not seem, or it may seem like a lot of channels. If we're talking like MIDI channels, that's a ton of channels. But for lights, several lights can take up 30 to 50 channels to control all their various components, so you can use it up pretty quickly. So if you need additional channels, you can expand it up to 4 additional channels. I'm sorry, 4 additional universes, each one having 512 channels. But each one of those is another add-on, $99 for each channel. I don't need more than 512 channels or even 250 channels right now, so I'm fine with one universe. And one more upgrade that you can get with this is you can use a visualizer. And so you can see this visualizer here on my screen. This is the what's called the WTOOLS right here. This is the interface that connects to the WMX unit. It connects via USB, it powers the unit. It doesn't do a lot other than like allowing you to use Ableton Link or OS2L, which is some kind of DJ technology. Honestly, I don't DJ that much, so I don't know about this. But I know Ableton Link, so you can use Ableton Link to sync your show. So back to the visualizer. So you have WTOOLS here. It'll forward the Ableton Link through. And then, of course, this is where we buy the double link. And you see how you can buy the universes 2 and 3 and 4 for $99 US. And with the 3D link, you can link it to a software called EasyView. And all you have to do is kind of click this button to launch EasyView. It launches. Now this launches something called EasyView Connect. So it's kind of like this intermediary between the EasyView visualizer and the WTOOLS, which itself is an intermediary between all that and the Wolfmix. And so right now there's no hardware here available, but if I go over here on WTOOLS and click on this little toggle right there, there it is. There's my Wolfmix, and we got Universe 1. I'll go ahead and open the visualizer. And up it comes, and then I can just bring it up full screen, and there we have it. There's the visualizer. And this is great because it allows me not to run all my lights. Because if you look in this picture here, you can see that I have these floor lights here, and in my room, they're not present at the moment. You can also see that the mega bars are kind of on the side. I can put these on top of speaker stands and just kind of hang them from speaker stands in that vertical kind of position. But right now, if we look back, again, they're underneath the piano. You can look there at the bottom, beneath the piano. That's right where they are. And of course, I don't have any fog running in the room. With this, I can test my lights out, and I don't even have to be in my room. I can be anywhere. Just have the laptop and have like maybe an iPad running as a second monitor, and I can just test out my scenes without having to be in the room with the lights up or with the fog running. And it's pretty accurate. Again, it doesn't visualize the laser or the derby, but I can use my imagination for that. I get the gist of the show. So why would this be good for, say, like a band or a solo performer? Well, it's compact. I mean, this thing's pretty small. It's really compact, especially compared to other lighting boards. And it's very friendly. It's got this easy-to-use interface. It's very light, so it's easy to carry to a gig. The easy-to-use interface makes it easy for a band member or a friend of the band to operate it. And the fact that it has the kind of the link out, the W control, or was it the W link in, means you can actually use external software or an external controller to control it as well. And that makes it a kind of a hands-off kind of a situation, which is something I appreciate as a performer. And I've used that with software before and with other lighting boards, but this, because it's kind of standalone and self-contained, I can really quickly design a show like I never could before, clicking around with buttons or mixing with faders or driving it in software, or even coding my own software, all the stuff I've done before. It's really easy to put together a show and to get an idea of what it's going to look like, a sense of how it's going to present, which gives me a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. So what are the downsides? I mean, nothing's perfect, right? Well, it does have some downsides. One would be the cost. I mean, you can look at that as a bonus or not. I mean, there's a lot of features in here for about, what, I think $650 to $700 is what this goes for. And there's a lot of features in here that really nothing else matches at this price point, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, the closest you might get are the AI designers, which, yeah, they're really hands-off, and they are tempting, to be honest. But they're so hands-off, I don't completely trust them yet, and I think the technology is still developing. It's still a little nascent. But $650 might be a lot for some. And then when you consider the fact that you have to do these add-ons for the W-Link or for the extra universes or for the visualizer, then okay, now you're up to, you know, $700, $800 plus tax and all this if you're in a state that taxes. And so yeah, it can get pretty expensive. Now, the question is, you know, whether that $650 plus add-ons is a feature or a bug, because what the developer actually did is they said, well, not everybody's going to need the W-Link, and not everybody's going to need the visualizer, or not everybody's going to need 4 universes. Like, I don't even need any more than 1, but I did want the visualizer and the W-Link. So for those who need those, they can pay extra, and that offsets the cost of development and implementing it in the unit, and that doesn't get passed on to people who don't need it. So it's actually kind of a, I almost wish that more products came that way. Another limitation is that the 8 groups may not be enough. I mean, I found that I might want to actually separate my moving heads, so I have the hanging moving heads and the floor moving heads. And then if I had a few more bars or wanted to maybe put the derbies on as a light so I can control the colors, I start to run out of groups, and then I have no room to add any other class of light. So the 8 might be a bit limiting, but then limitations still creativity. So back and forth. Is it a downside or an upside? I don't know. Because there is some beauty in its simplicity. So one of the other limitations is that the live edits and all these action buttons along the side of the Wolfmix are not controllable via the W-Link control. W-Link will control the intensity of the various groups. So group A, group B, so you get 8 levels of intensity plus a level of intensity for the main, for all the lights. And it will also call up particular presets, but it won't do anything beyond that I'm aware of, at least not now. And one of the last limitations that isn't great is that it doesn't have any MIDI control on this unit. Now, this is the Mark 1. There is a Mark 2 that is out, and I think it's going to be coming to the US pretty soon here. And that does have a USB in for MIDI in, but the Wolfmix acts as a MIDI hub, or a MIDI, what is it, MIDI controller. So it's basically like your computer. So it's like it's another computer. So you can't just plug it in your computer and get MIDI from your computer. You have to plug it in. You have to plug like a MIDI interface into it, plug that MIDI interface into another interface, and run that interface into your computer to control from a computer. Or you can control it from another MIDI device running into an external interface, say like a launch pad or a keyboard or something like that. And the controllers can control, again, the intensity of the groups and of the main, and the keys and all that can control the scene recalls. So in conclusion, this is a versatile, light, and friendly to use interface. I mean, it's a great controller. It's very familiar to people who are electronic musicians like myself, using pads to control, say, like various processes or scene recalls in Ableton Live. It's very familiar. And of course, you have the knobs up there to control intensities and other parameters. And programming lights is quick and easy. And then recalling all this and playing it live is easy. The pads even glow the colors of the scenes that they represent, which makes it really easy for somebody else that you hand it off to who may be a little bit more of a novice to still understand what they can do with a light show. And because it's light and portable, friendly, controllable, easy to use, it's a great option for bands and solo performers. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in purchasing the Wolfmix, I have links down below in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments on how you've been using lighting, what you're looking for in a controller, or how you've thought about adding lighting to your setup, please let me know. Until next time.